what gets me up in the morning is trying to ensure that every community in Canada, Indigenous community in Canada, can have guardians if they want them. And then visioning what that would do to transform this country if every community had guardians. I think it would change the very nature of the conversation around development and conservation in Canada. Guardians are what I lovingly call to use the boots on the ground. There are moccasins and mucklucks on the ground, and so they're basically representations of the community who do everything from planning to management to consultation to creating relations with industry and other land users. And so it's hard to describe. It sounds like they do everything, but they actually do everything when it comes to the land. And to me, like I'm about just over 20 years into my professional career. I have to tell you, if I had known when I was a youth that guardians was an option for me, I would have been a guardian. And now it's my way of kind of doing what I can to give that option to others. Working in conservation in Canada since the early 2000s really. And since that time, I would say about 90% of the new protected areas in this country have been either led by Indigenous peoples or co-led by Indigenous peoples. And so it's the way of the future. And if we're going to achieve these international targets, I think the only way we can do that is by empowering Indigenous peoples. I also see the other side of that coin, which is that Indigenous peoples in Canada are really in a movement of nationhood and of assertion of rights and titles and of regaining of our roles and responsibility with respect to the land. And conservation is one of those avenues to not only explore that, but also fulfill that responsibility. And so I see it as a natural path. And I'm not alone in that. There's been some great studies that have come out. There was more recently one of UBC that showed that 80% of Canada's remaining biodiversity is on Indigenous-owned lands. And so if we're going to talk about biodiversity concepts, Aichi is about conservation of biodiversity, then it has to be done with Indigenous peoples, and the same is true globally. And so 80% of the world's remaining biodiversity is on Indigenous lands, and those are amongst the least protected in the world. And so that's an obvious opportunity for me. Yeah.